never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer, fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Had a great time last night, as always, at SWA Wrestling 244 Livestock Road, East Denali, Georgia. But we'll talk more about that coming up in tomorrow's video. And also coming up in tomorrow's video, I will let everybody know where all I will be next weekend in case you want to come out and see Ref Brandon in action again. But all that's coming up in tomorrow's video. For today, we're going to be talking some NXT wrestling, and we'll do that in a couple of minutes. First, let me say that yesterday we finished off the Georgia High School State Championship football games. In AAA, the state champion is Sandy Creek. They defeated Cedar Grove 21-17. I actually watched that game. That was a great football game. In 5A, Ware County defeated Warner Robins 38-33. And the 7A state champion is Mill Creek. They defeated Carrollton by the score of 70-35. So if you missed any of the Georgia High School State Championship football games, make sure you go back and watch yesterday's video, because yesterday I talked about the 5 state champions that we crowned on Friday, and then we crowned 3 more yesterday in Sandy Creek, Ware County, and Mill Creek. So that is the 8 state champions in the year 2022 in Georgia high school football. And I hate to even mention it. I hate to even bring it up because everybody knows by now that I just completely, totally hate the Heisman. To me, the Heisman has been broke for 20 years. There's nothing they're going to do to convince me to change my mind. I think it's an absolute joke. I don't care anything for it, but I'm just going to bring it up because I know people actually care. But Caleb Williams of USC won the Heisman last night for this past college football season. And if anybody has ever had a really true, really good shot at winning 2 in a row, I think it's Caleb Williams. I know about the past 4 or 5 Heisman winners that have been underclassmen that were going to be back the next year. People always say, oh, they've got a shot to win it again, when I never really truly thought they did. But if Caleb Williams comes back next year, I really think he's got a shot to win it, because the other 3 finalists from last night are all gone. So he's already returning as the winner, and he's going to be the favorite already. And everybody knows by now how much everybody loves USC. USC is one of the darlings of college football. So you just won the Heisman, and you play for one of the darlings of college football. So if he comes back next year and USC has another 10 or 11 win season, and his numbers are anything close to what they were this year, he'll win it again. And since Lincoln Riley is their coach, I expect his numbers to be pretty comparable to this past year. So unless they have a 4 or 5 loss season, I do think Caleb Williams has a legit shot to win the Heisman again next year. Of course, nobody has won the Heisman 2 years in a row except for Archie Griffin in 1974 and 1975. And if you go back and look at Archie Griffin's numbers, he actually had better numbers in 74 than he did in 75. So he was still good in 75, but not as good as he was in 74. And in case you did not see it, Zion Williamson made the Phoenix Suns mad with his dunk on Friday night. That was the big game on Friday night. And after that game, the New Orleans Pelicans actually have the best record in the Western Conference. And I know before the year started, I said they were going to improve this year, and they have, but they've actually overachieved compared to what I thought so far. But end of the game, the Pelicans are up 126 to 117. He gets the ball, he goes up and dunks it, and it was a little showboating. It was a little over the top, but what are we doing? Why are we complaining about a grown man dunking a basketball? And I have never in any sport cared about anybody running the score up, anything like that. I can remember 20 years ago when I was pulling for Clemson and they were just an average, mediocre football team. Anytime any Clemson fan tried to complain about so-and-so running up the score, I would say, who cares? If you don't like it, stop them. I've got better things to worry about than somebody running up a score. There's more things in sports more important than a man dunking a basketball. Yeah, he didn't have to do it. The Pelicans already had the game won. But if you go back and watch the replay, there's 2.5 seconds to go in the game. He's standing under the rim all by himself. He was the only player on that half of the court. It looked like half-court basketball, and Zion was the only one that knew that. He was the only one on that side of the court. What's he supposed to do? Stand there and just dribble the ball out? Like, my God, come on. The Pelicans won the game whether he dunks that ball or not. Why does it matter? But if you have not seen the dunk, go back and watch it. If you have any thoughts on it, please feel free to let me know. And I have to mention Incarnate Word. I know a couple days ago I talked about how their head coach is leaving to go become an FBS head coach, but they're in the FCS playoffs right now. The FCS playoffs are down to the Final Four. They actually play the FCS National Championship game the same weekend as the FBS National Championship game. FCS is on the Sunday, and the FBS is on that Monday because they take Christmas week and New Year's week off in the FCS level. So after next weekend, they'll be down to the final two, and then they'll take 2 weeks off for the national championship game. But anyway, Friday night, Incarnate Word defeated Sacramento State 66-63 in the FCS playoffs. That was the highest scoring FCS playoff game ever. And the game was already going to be high scoring, but it wasn't quite as high scoring as it looked going to the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, both teams scored 4 touchdowns. So it looked like it was going to be high 30s, low 40s. But in the fourth quarter, both teams just went up and down the field. So Incarnate Word defeated Sacramento State 66-63. And that was not in basketball. That was in football. There's some basketball teams that can't score that many points, like my Clemson Tigers, who put up 58 last night in college basketball against Loyola of Chicago. But anyway, that score was not in overtime. That score was in regulation. Over 1,300 yards of total offense in that game between the two teams. So if you like good, high-scoring, no defense college football games, I encourage you to go back and watch that game whenever you can find the replay on TV. Incarnate Word advances by winning 66-63, and they're the only team, basically, I guess you'd call them Mid-South, that's left in the FCS playoffs, because back in the old wrestling days, the Texas territory was considered Mid-South. And I say that because outside of them, you've got South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and Montana State. So it's a bunch of West Coast teams in the FCS Final Four this year in FCS college football. But in case you have not heard yet, William Regal is making his way back to the WWE. If nothing changes, his current contract, since his AEW contract is not officially expired yet, they're letting him go ahead and leave. But if nothing changes, right now his contract says he cannot appear on WWE television anytime in 2023. He'll only work in a backstage role until 2024. But AEW may come back eventually and change their mind. That's how it stands as of this Sunday. And I bring that up because last night was NXT Deadline. It was the last NXT premium live event of the year. And of course, when William Regal got fired a few months ago, he was the NXT general manager on television. But last night at NXT Deadline, Roxanne Perez won the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. And if you don't watch NXT, you should, because NXT, in my opinion, is great. But the Iron Survivor Challenge, they had one for the women and one for the men. And this was the first ever Iron Survivor Challenge. This match is the idea of Shawn Michaels. It was all his thinking. And if you've ever seen an Iron Man match, you know an Iron Man match is a one-on-one match. And whoever gets the most pinfalls or submissions in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, ever how long they go, is the winner. Well, the Iron Survivor Challenge is that, plus some, because instead of 2 people, it's 5 people. And just like in an Iron Man match, every time you pin somebody or make somebody submit, you get a point. But if you get pinned or if you submit, you lose that point. So if you get 5 pinfalls and then turn around and get pinned 4 times, you only have 1 point. So Roxanne Perez won the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. And then Isla Dawn defeated Alba Fire in a women's match. The New Day beat Pretty Deadly to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Grayson Waller won the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge. And Braun Breaker defeated Apollo Crews to remain the NXT World Champion. So make sure you watch NXT on Tuesday night to see all the fallout from NXT Deadline. I watch it every week because, in my personal opinion, even though Raw is good and SmackDown is good, I think NXT is better than both of them, but that's just my honest, humble opinion. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. How do you organize a space party? You plan it. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.